Hello and welcome back to the final video for making space rocks in GML. So this time we're putting the finishing touches on our project. So first up, I want to get our game object to spawn in the asteroids while we're playing the game. So we don't have any need for these ones, so let's just get rid of them. And now in the game object itself, at the start of the game room, so let's add that event, let's go add event, it's down in other, room start, and let's just check that the room does equal the game room, because this event gets triggered at the start of any room. And now we want to create some asteroids at a certain XXYY location, I'm just going to put, so these variables we're going to set in a second, in the instances layer, obj asteroid. And now I want to create those asteroids at the boundary of the room, so around the player but not right on top of it. So for XX, I want it to choose either the first third or the second third, so I'm going to use choose. And then irandom range, 0 room width times, I'm just going to do 0.3. Right, so that's one of the options, so it can make it between 0 to about a third of the way in, or it can make it between about 2/3 of the way in to the very end of the room. And I'll do the same for the Y. Except for room width, I'm going to use height. Technically for my dimensions, they're the same thing, but that's what we should be putting. Alright, and let's repeat all of this 6 times so that we're getting 6 asteroids. Alright, so that should spawn the asteroids into the room. But now we need to get it to continuously spawn an asteroid every few seconds. So for this, we're going to set an alarm. So this is a special event that we can set to be triggered after a certain amount of time. So for example, in the room start of the game room, so once it goes through that repeat, we can set that alarm 0, right, because that's alarm 0, to go off after 60 steps. So this is setting the amount of steps, it's not seconds. So we could actually say just 60 steps, or you can write room speed times 1, so that would be 1 second. So after 1 second of the room starting, it's going to run this alarm and spawn one more asteroid. So now, in this alarm, we're going to spawn these asteroids not within a certain range of the room, but right at the boundary. So for this to work, X or Y is either going to have to be 0 or the total room width or room height. Right, so we can spawn it up the top and any X coordinate along the top or down the bottom and any X coordinate down the bottom, and the same for down the 2 sides. So first off, we need to make that choice of if we're making it down the left and right sides or the top and bottom sides. So I'm just going to get this to flip a coin basically. Choose 0 or 1. And if this returns 0, then we'll go down the sides. Otherwise, we'll go up the top or down the bottom. So for down the side, we're going to use the same kind of logic as before. So we're going to declare 2 temporary variables for XX and YY. So XX is going to be 0, right, the left side, or the room width, which is the right side. And then YY can be anything at all between 0 and the room height. And here it's going to be similar, except XX can be anything, and YY is going to be at the top or bottom. And now we can just spawn that in. At XXYY in the instances layer, obj asteroid. Alright, so we have set that alarm to go off here, and then from that point on, I actually want this alarm to reset itself, so that maybe it goes off after, let's say 4 seconds. So I could do 4 times 60 or room speed. And that way we're going to get it to keep going off. Now, one thing that we should actually just put in is because this object is persistent, this alarm might be set to go off after we have transitioned to another room. So say because we've won or because we've lost. And I don't want to keep making asteroids in the wrong room. So I am just going to check up here if the room does not equal room game, then what we're actually going to do is just exit. Right, so this exits the rest of the script, so it won't perform anything after this point. So it's not going to create anything and it's not going to keep resetting. Alright, so let's give that a test. So hit enter, and our asteroids are spawned in, and they are spawning around the room. So we should be seeing new asteroids every few seconds pop up. Alright, perfect. So now we're pretty much finished. We can set these back to 0 and 3, and let's also add in some sound effects to the game. So there are some great free online websites that you can visit to make some sound effects for your game. Have a look at them and have a go at creating your own sounds, or you can just use my ones. So I'm just going to bring up my sounds and just drag them into the project. There we go. So I have a few sound effects for shooting and dying, for example, and I also just have a background song to play. So in the game object, I am going to play that song at the start of the game room. So I can just put it in here and we'll use the function audio play sound. MSC song is just what I've called it. And then it's asking for a priority. It just sets the priority of the sounds if you've got multiple sounds playing at once. I'm just going to put 2, and I'm going to say true, it does loop. Alright, so that should play the music at the start of the game. And now in the step event, I'm also going to add the win sound here. So again, audio play sound, sound win. I'll put it at the priority 1, and I'll say false, I don't want it to loop. And then for game over, we'll do the same thing. Alright, so those are just 2 sound effects that we'll play when we win or lose. Now, when we shoot, I want to play the zap noise. So that was in here in the step event when we pressed the spacebar to shoot. Let's also play the sound zap. And when I collide with the asteroid, I'm going to play the die sound. And I'm also going to get that to play when I hit one of the asteroids with my bullet. So the sound is going to play when the ship and the asteroid blows up. Alright, and really that should be it. So let's give the game a final run. So when we hit enter, our music should start and we should be hearing all of our sound effects. There we go. And maybe we'll just give a second pause between actually dying and then resetting the level. So when the ship hits the asteroid, what we could do is set an alarm, again within the game object, to restart the level. So in here, let's create a new alarm, and this could just be room restart. Right, and we'll set this off with our ship. So we'll go with obj game, alarm 1 equals room speed. But just one thing, so remember how we had the song playing at the start of the room? Because we've just restarted the room and not the entire game, that song is still actually going to be playing. So you might want the song to just carry on as normal, or you might want it to just restart. So I might get it to restart. So what I'm going to do is just have it check first if audio is playing the song. Then I'm going to get it to just stop it. And then it will replay it again. Alright, so if we just play that one more time, then that should be fine. There we go, and it restarts. Alright, so that's pretty much it. We've made a little Space Rocks game. There is a lot you could still add to it, so hopefully you can build off of this foundation and make a more complicated game. Another thing we can tidy up is that you might have noticed when you play the game that everything seems to be spawning in the exact same way. And that's because when we've been using those random functions, it isn't actually random every time. GameMaker has made a kind of random seed for the game to use in testing to make it easier to debug. But if you want that seed to be changed every time you run the game, then we could come into our game object and just when it's created, we could get it to perform the randomize function. And once you're done with your game, while you can't export the game just with the trial license, you can export it if you have something like the creator or developer licenses that will allow you to publish to Windows or Mac. So we can come over here and just click create executable, package it as an installer or a zip, and then we can save it somewhere. Once that's done, you should be able to share your game to others. with that, we've come to the end of the series. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed making space rocks, and maybe I will see you in another tutorial. See you and have fun making games.